Now, who is your ideal participant? Who is your ideal supporter? What if you're entirely starting from scratch with this? You might have exhausted your current networks, or you don't have that kind of inner orbit or outer orbit of networks set up yet. So this stage is all about working out who your ideal participant is. Who is your ideal participant? It's a bit hard to see on this screen, but this is taken from a worksheet that I did. It's basically just a piece of paper cut in two. One side, who is your ideal? It says customer, supporter, participant, guest. On the other side, who is not your ideal supporter. And it's worth just trying this as a little exercise and just sort of jotting down who you think your ideal person is and who perhaps it isn't. Now, the isn't bit might feel a bit weird, because you might be thinking, well, actually, anyone who signs up to our events is ideal. That would definitely be me, how I used to think, because they've signed up, like, great, it's another bum on a seat. I totally get it. Especially if one of your targets, which it may well be, it includes sign-ups. That is one of the things that you're being kind of judged on, if you like, is getting an X number of sign-ups for your event. But here's the reason there are many non-ideal people out there. They can take up a hell of a lot of your time. They can raise little money. They cost your charity money because of the time, the energy, the materials, and also that used place, that lost place that someone who is more ideal could have taken. So being able to identify that and create some boundaries is really important. It also helps you kind of micro-target more of the ideal people once you've kind of defined who this is. This is going to be different for different events. It's going to be different for different organisations as well. But getting kind of clear on kind of who your ideal participant or guest is a really, really great step to do. Number one, communicate your events calendar. Okay, this is pretty essential, I think, is to create a calendar. If you don't already have one, communicate your calendar with your supporters. The best practice is to create activity that builds upon previous activity, previous months, creates that kind of demand, so you can do that through a series of events, series of runs, increases in distances, things like that, with challenge events, warm-up events for longer runs, but you can do it in a number of ways. Your supporters are not all the same, so there's going to be runners who want to come to your Christmas concert, trusts and foundations who want to come to your cultivation events, corporates who want to do your challenges, etc. We have to get out of this kind of events, corporate, major donor kind of way of thinking and acting. I saw that Wayne Murray had said something really nice yesterday about don't think about them as silos, think about them as bubbles, because bubbles are easier to pop, which I think is really nice. The idea of a silo is very kind of robust and rigid, but actually think of them as bubbles. Supporters are supporters, so you can tease your supporters about what's coming up as well. This gives them a reason to stay engaged and connected. There may be a number of reasons why you don't already do this. It might be that your calendar is not sewn up yet. There's still uncertainty about what's happening. Quite understand. There might be several parties involved. It doesn't have to be completely written in stone. Even just having something kind of fairly loose would be useful and helpful. You can sort of do like what's coming up next month or what's coming up in the summer. And everyone will benefit from knowing this, like everyone right across the organisation. Your audience don't give two hoots if they're flagged as a corporate or a major donor or an event participant. They support your charity and they want to know what's going on. I've been at events for challenge eventers, thank you events, where there's been no like special events promoted, and someone has come up and sort of said, oh, what about your Christmas concert? And there was no information about it anyway, because there were different teams running them, organising them. But it just makes no sense. It doesn't look joined up. You're leaving money on the table. So create a calendar if you can that includes all of the activity that's taking place across the charity, whether it's your team's remit or not. The second thing is create a clear stewardship path from the moment you sign someone up, even before that. A clear stewardship path identified and mapped out for them. It's like a support journey, or whatever you want to call it, a success path. It's the journey your participant goes on to get them from where they are now to where they want to be. So that's your kind of promise that that you're selling them when they sign up to your event. There are a number of questions that you can ask in order to get there, like what is the ultimate promise outcome you promise them? What do they need to learn or understand or have done, e.g. raised X amount of money to have this outcome? What actions do they need to take each week, each month? How long will this take? And then you can begin to map out phases or steps that your supporter needs to act, so they have very clear expectations as a supporter. So the third R is raising more funds. I couldn't find a PDF slide with pounds, so you've got dollars. The simplest way to make more money from your events is to increase the entry fee, registration fee, ticket price, set higher sponsorship targets. Now, I understand there's hesitancy to do this, and I wouldn't suggest, there might be hesitancy, I shouldn't say there is, there might be. I wouldn't suggest you go way above what other charities are doing, but I do often see charity events almost kind of apologising for charging a registration or setting an income target. And it annoys me because you're providing a fantastic service and there is a necessary outlay, including a considerable amount of your time. And this is really kind of the one thing I want you to take away with you today, is it is a cycle. Your events, your fundraising is not a linear process. It's easy to think that because events are very much like, you know, beginning, middle and end, but like the end is not the end. The end should be the beginning for something else. One impacts the other, which impacts the other, which impacts the other. They're all interlinked. So getting your head around all of these areas is going to massively improve the results from your events fundraising.